they belong to Srila Prabhupada. So I see that Sai Karti has raised his hand. We'll come to that. So realizations, all of that, we can speak as much as we realize. We should not try to act as we're on a higher level. But ultimately, everything comes from Prabhupada, because he's the self-realized soul who has fully realized God. He's the person who's in direct contact with Krishna. So his words are carrying that spiritual potency. They're very powerful. Just like it is said that a mantra spoken by a pure devotee is much more powerful than by us. So it's the same thing with preaching. Mantra is a spiritual vibration, Mahamantra, and preaching is a spiritual vibration. So when we hear the preaching of Srila Prabhupada, if we hear attentively, it really purifies the heart. So that has to be done again and again and again. So encourage them to read. That's why those reading sessions and those chanting sessions in those Telegram group are very nice. I can see the result, how so many of you are appreciating chanting together. Even though you're thousands of miles apart, you're having a chance to chant with one another. So that's nice. That's devotee association, and you feel encouraged. You might not be able to sit down and chant 8 rounds straight by yourself, but because you are with other devotees, then you're capable of doing it. So it's a very very powerful tool that we should use. So okay, yes, Sai Prabhu, what is it that you wanted to ask?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances with all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So I was having a doubt regarding reading. So right now I'm trying to read all the small books of Prabhupada properly, and I was just
Mhm.
reading like the Raja Vidya. So I was finding that usually I read it maybe like night time, evening after my class and all that. So that time, I feel that after I read once, I do not understand much, but I have to keep reading over and over again. So my question was that, is it okay for me to just focus on maybe 10 pages a day, but then go through them over and over again? Or should I instead, just mechanically read the book the whole time, I mean, like 80, 90 pages in one go, and then after that, read it again? What is like the better way of doing things?
Well, the thing Prabhupada says is we should try to understand what we read. There's different mood of reading also, because reading can be done in the mode of ignorance, reading can be done in the mode of passion, reading can, there's different modes of nature, and we should try to read simply with the desire to really try to understand Krishna. So we should be eager to listen. So if we read mechanically, like you're saying, just one page and then one page, and not trying to understand, that is not a very good reading, actually. Reading is not just with the eyes, reading is with the mind, with the heart, trying to dwell into Prabhupada's books. What is Srila Prabhupada trying to say? Um, and Prabhupada says, if we don't understand, it's best that we read again. So instead of going through so many pages, best thing is that you read a couple of pages, and if you don't understand a point, go back. Many times, like me personally, if I don't understand a purport or a paragraph in the purport, I'll go back and I'll try to read again very slowly, word by word, trying to understand what is Srila Prabhupada trying to convey here. That is better class of reading than simply having the mind wander left and right. Prabhupada also, there was a quote like that. I don't know if I had saved it, but Srila Prabhupada was saying that it's better to read like a few verses with rapt attention, and then okay, yeah, here I'm asking. I was saying I don't know if I can find it, and it was right in front of my eyes. So I'm putting it in the message section here. So Srila Prabhupada, this is a letter from Los Angeles, July 29, 1969. So he says, similarly, you must read Bhagavad Gita at least a few verses every day and think about them throughout the day. The best thing is to read one chapter daily, but if you can meditate upon a few verses of Bhagavad Gita every day, that is better than reading for simply 1 hour and then forgetting the topics until the next reading. See that? And why is that? Because you're continuing the worship. Hmm? You're continuing the worship. Because when you meditate upon Bhagavad Gita, you're meditating upon Krishna. There's no difference between God and God's words. So if you meditate upon God's words, then you're meditating upon the Lord. So you're continuing your devotional service. But if you just read technically and then you do something else, that's not very good. It's actually offensive reading. Here, Krishna says, sorry. Yeah, here. This is Bhagavad Gita I'll be sharing. Can see this? Sai Prabhu, would you like to read?
Actually, Prabhu, I cannot see. Okay, I was actually I'm walking on my way to class, but
Okay,
on
I'll
my
read.
I
Adheshyate च yamimam dharmyam samvadamavayo jnana yagyena tenaham ishtahasyamiti me mati. So the Lord is saying, and I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. So this is one of the last verse of Bhagavad Gita. So the Lord is saying that if you study Bhagavad Gita, you ponder upon it, with a philosophical approach. Why Krishna said like that? Why Arjuna responded like this? If you ponder upon it, you dwell in the subject matter. You're worshiping Krishna with your intelligence. So that's better actually when you do like that than simply reading a whole pack just to say that I finished that book. All right. In the beginning, I was very much proud when I was finishing a book. I was like, yeah, finish one of Prabhupada books. But what does it mean to finish Prabhupada book? Does that even exist? What does it mean finishing a book? This is a material conception. In spiritual life, there's no such thing as finishing, because even pure devotee, they make advancement. They relish more and more the spiritual bliss with the Lord. So there's no such thing as finishing spiritual life. You can never finish spiritual life. It's not possible. So reading a book, you read it again, you get more realizations. You read it again and more realizations. This is how it works. Even Srila Prabhupada used to read his own books. So he's reading his books, and we're not going to read more than once. So that's books are the basis. It's so important. We'll continue on this topic here of Jnani Prabhu. So Aditya Shri Kumar said, Hare Krishna, Dhamma Pranam of Guru Sisha Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Aditya Prabhu. Varun Prakash, Hare Krishna, Varun, Dandavat Pranam of Guru Sisha Prabhupada. So Jnani Prabhu says, I will do a weekly program class, encourage them to chant and read the Prabhupada book. Perfectly right. Reading is very important. It improves our chanting. Thank you, Prabhuji, for your advice. It inspires me. I love the Vaishnava group. The Devotees Association is so precious. Yes. So concerning those programs, yes, you just do that. So in the beginning, don't try to see too many steps ahead in your preaching, Jnani Prabhu. You just start with something simple and you just focus on that. How to make nice prasadam, how to try to have some kirtan with them. You can teach one of them to play kartal, the 1, 2, 3 beat, and then you play the drum and they sing along. You can have kirtan like that for 20, 30 minutes, and then maybe a small talk and more kirtan and then prasadam like that. Prabhupada like kirtan, talk, kirtan, prasadam. That was the kind of his setup, a little bit of kirtan, a little bit talk, a little bit of kirtan, and then prasadam at the end. So if you follow this recipe of Prabhupada, then for sure you're doing properly. Okay, now we have Karti. Sai Karti Prabhu is saying, thank you for answering my question, Prabhuji. I will read more properly and focus on a few pages a day, but try to be more focused. Sorry, Prabhu, have to leave now to Slaughterhouse. To his school. Kailash Kumar Bhajantri Kale. Hare Krishna Danda Pranam Guru Sisha Prabhupada. Jnani Prabhu says, okay, I'll do like this. Jai. There was someone who raised his hand. Where was someone had a question just now? I saw. I'm not sure. I don't know how to go see who raised the hand actually. So
Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisance always, Srila Prabhupada.
Hare
Prabhu, it is
Krishna.
Varun Prabhu.
Oh, Varun
Yes,
Prabhu, right?
yes,
Okay.
Prabhu.
Varun Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Varun Prabhu. You had a question? Varun Prabhu, you still there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandar Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Prabhuji, my question is how to bring consistency in devotional practice.
Consistency in devotional
Mhm.
practice, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So we need to have a schedule that we repeat again and again and again and again. Shri Prabhupada says that the devotee's life has to be like a clock. A clock never misses a tick, right? At 6 o'clock, a clock points out 6 o'clock. At 7, a clock points out 7. So this is called sadhana, regulated spiritual practice. So the more we raise ourselves in the modes of material nature and we come to the mode of goodness, the more we'll be able to be regulated like that. But there needs to be some force, because the mind is like an untrained animal, a wild animal. The mind is always trying to drag us away from, um, regulated activities, right? Just lie down in bed and don't move, sleep longer, eat more, like that. So the mind is always trying to enjoy because the senses are demanding. The tongue eat more than what you need. The body sleep more than what you need, like that. So we have to be like a clock. So how to start? We should wake up at the same time every day. That's a good start. We should wake up at the same time every single day without fail. And since you start your day at the same time, then the stopwatch, starts at the same time every day. So okay, if I wake up this time, then I chant, let's say six rounds after waking up. Then I do Mangalarti. I start cooking for Krishna. Then I have my prashadam, maybe a japa walk, like that. So you try to make your daily schedule, and you try to follow that again and again and again and again. You see, like we have to see how Prabhupada used to do. Prabhupada had his schedule that he was following. Yeah. I don't know percent exactly, but I know that he would translate. I mean, he would wake up around 1:30 a.m. like that, and then I believe he would chant or maybe do a little translation. So he would chant like that, Then after that, he would take his morning walk with his disciples. Coming back, he would give class. Then you would have, prasadam. Then I believe he would answer some letters and receive guests, and then maybe take a short nap in the afternoon and like that. So, and he used to do that on a constant change of hour. I mean, he was traveling, right? So there's always jet lag. But Prabhupada never cared about jet lag. He would wake up at the same single time everywhere that he was, no matter jet lag or no. So we have to follow in his footsteps, trying to do the same thing in our lives. So that's the first thing we have to do our sadhana. But the thing is that we will not get this strength unless we associate with devotees. It's not going to be possible on our own. Huh? Devotee association is just the key. There's no anything in life. I mean, anything in life you want to become better at, you have to get some inspiration somewhere. Online you get all these motivational talks. People who want to go to the gym, they hear some motivational talk by big bodybuilders. Someone who wants to make money, they hear some motivational talk. They attend some presentation by big businessmen. So we always seek inspiration from someone else. You cannot seek inspiration from matter. Inspiration will come from another person. So this is the verse, that is often quoted, and it explains it all. So the root cause of devotional service to Lord Krishna is association with advanced devotees. Even when one's dormant love for Krishna awakens, association with devotees is still most essential. So that's the root cause. the root cause. What causes our devotional life to grow? It's to associate with senior devotees. And what does association mean? Hearing from them, revealing our mind to them, asking questions. Prabhu, I don't feel good these days. I feel my spiritual life is slacking. I don't get taste in chanting. What's happening? Why is it like that? Then we can discuss these things. But if we keep everything inside and no, I'm perfect. I don't have flaws. I don't want to be speaking out my flaws. I'll feel ashamed. That's not good. Shame is a very good quality, actually. It's good to feel shameful. We live in a world where people are shameless. They don't want to be feeling shameful, but shame is a sign of humility. To feel, and it's not a big deal. Everybody is struggling. I mean, we're not perfect. To err is human, so we all make mistakes. But the distinction is that those who don't admit their mistakes or don't even um, realize that they're wrong, that is very bad, because how do you progress from there? So we must see that, yeah, okay, I'm falling now. I'm struggling. I've stopped chanting my rounds for a couple of days. Okay, let me reveal my mind to some devotee. Not that I'm infallible. I cannot fall down. How can I tell this to someone else who's gonna look down upon me? No, if the person you're revealing your mind to is actually advanced, he's never gonna look down on you. He's just gonna want to help you whatever he can. So association with devotees is very important. Hearing from them, being just like His Grace Nagopal Prabhu came to Australia for a month, so his association was very much important. We were hearing him talk, his faith, the way he speaks, with faith, strong faith, that is very rare amongst, to see someone who's got so much faith in God, and that is contagious, that is impactful. When you hear someone speak about God with so much faith, conviction. Yes, God exists. Yes, God, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and He exists. He's not a myth, and speaking like that. So this is it. We have to hear from advanced devotee, and if we do this properly, then ruchi will come at one point, some taste. Not just that everything will be mechanical. So the verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that describes the symptoms of ruchi is also speaking about devotee association. This is the verse 429, 39, and 40. Okay. So let me see if there's a specific Sanskrit word that says ruchi. Okay, anyway. So here, translation. My dear king, in the place where pure devotees live, following the rules and regulations, and thus purely conscious and engaged with great eagerness in hearing and chanting the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in that place, if one gets a chance to hear their constant flow of nectar, which is exactly like the waves of a river, one will forget the necessities of life, namely hunger and thirst, and become immune to all kinds of fear, lamentation, and illusion. You see? Hunger, thirst, fear, lamentation, and illusion. What are these? I believe this is the 5 kleshas, right? So the 5 miseries, 5 types of different miseries that we're always attacked by. So that's the test. If we actually properly connected, we're hearing properly from a bona fide source, we are not going to be feeling these things. And it's true, when we are really immersed in discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, rather chanting, which means speaking, or hearing a class, okay, these things we won't feel. Just like you can see His Grace Tadavid Das Brahmachari, he can give sometimes 5 hours class. He did once, So how you can speak 5 hours without becoming tired, without even feeling hunger and thirst like that. So This is very important. So this is a taste of ruchi, taste. You see here, with great eagerness in hearing and chanting. We should become very much, to say, attracted towards hearing topics about Krishna or speaking about Krishna. That's the test that we're doing things properly. But this is not going to arise unless we are in that place where the pure devotee live, following the rules and regulations. And pure devotee means anyabilasita shunyan. He's not interested in mixed bhakti. Okay, so the Madhyamadikari is also called pure devotee because of that, because his devotion, his desire to serve the Lord is not contaminated. He might not be 100% pure, but hearing from such a devotee is also very much electrifying spiritually. Who would like to read the purport?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Can I read?
Yes, please.
The cultivation of Krishna consciousness is possible where great devotees live together and constantly engage in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. In a holy place like Vrindavan, there are many devotees constantly engaged in chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. If one gets the chance to hear from pure devotees in such a place, allowing the constant flow of the river of nectar to come from the mouths of pure devotees, then the cultivation of Krishna consciousness becomes very easy. When one is engaged in constantly hearing the glories of the Lord, he certainly rises above the bodily conception. When one is in the bodily conception, he feels the pangs of hunger and thirst, fear, lamentation, and illusion. But when one is engaged in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, he transcends the bodily conception.
Yeah. So an important point here is this: is that you see a holy place like Vrindavan. Of course, a temple. If the temple is actually following Prabhupada's instructions, it is just like Vrindavan. But what makes Vrindavan special? Is the devotees. What makes a temple special is the devotees. Temple doesn't mean an empty house with no devotional activities inside. You know, temple. What makes a temple a temple? It's the devotee who are engaged in constantly chanting and hearing, Shravanam Kirtanam. So that's why Prabhupada built temple. There's only one reason. It's to allow, it's to give opportunity to people to have devotee association. Not just people in there in general, but devotees. You know, it's a place where we can all gather together and have devotee association. So without getting near the devotee and hearing from them, there's no question of spiritual advancement. We cannot stay far away, meaning not just physically, but mentally far away from the devotees and accept to do spiritual advancement. And why does it work to some? Why does it work even online? Just like Jani Prabhu is saying that he really likes this Telegram group. So how is that? Because that's devotee association. So to some extent, he's getting it. Even our Dimitri Prabhu, even our Sami Prabhu, who are alone where they live, they are feeling also some enthusiasm. Why? Because the Shravanam Kirtanam is going on. So this spiritual life is not necessarily that it has to be physically with one another, but being physically does facilitate things because because it's just more instant. It's always there, immediately you can have a conversation, and the devotees are rising early. You'll feel bad if you don't rise early like this, and there's so much opportunity for services and so on. But still, if it's not possible right away, physical association and online association is very potent, as we can see. Okay, Sami Prabhu.
The word Bhagavad Gunanukatana Shravana Vyagra Chetasaha, meaning always eager to find a place where the glories of the Lord are being heard and chanted, is significant in this verse. A businessman is always very eager to go to a place where business is transacted. Similarly, A devotee is very eager to hear from the lips of liberated devotees. As soon as one hears the glories of the Lord from the liberated devotees, he immediately becomes impregnated with Krishna consciousness. This is also confirmed in another verse. Satam prasangam. Do I read it?
Satam prasangam mama virya samvido bhavantiritkarna rasayana katha tajjoshanantashvapavarga vartmani shraddharathir bhaktir anukramishiti.
In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and to the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin.
So this is actually one of the most famous verse to quote when it comes to devotee association. It is such an important verse. You see, Shraddha, Ratir, Bhaktir, Anukramishati, one by one comes. So the Shraddha, the faith will increase. That we should be feeling. If we are actually properly associating with devotees, our faith has to increase. That yes, Bhagavad Gita is real, Krishna is real, what Prabhupada says is true. We have to have more and more faith, And then Rati, there should be some attraction, right? He's freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. So he should become always wanting to do this, always. And then bhaktir, and then real devotional service, it says that it begins there actually, after we are firmly convinced and firmly fixed, then real devotion and devotional service begins. Okay.
In the association of pure devotees, one becomes attached to hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. In this way, one can cultivate Krishna consciousness, and as soon as this cultivation is advanced, one can become faithful to the Lord, devoted to the Lord, and attached to the Lord, and thus one can very quickly attain full Krishna consciousness. The secret of success in the cultivation of Krishna consciousness is hearing from the right person. A Krishna conscious person is never disturbed by the bodily necessities, namely eating, sleeping, mating, and defending.
And that's the distinction, between an advanced devotee and a neophyte. The neophyte will become disturbed by these things. His bhakti will become disturbed when he needs to eat, or when his tongue is telling him, go taste palatable things. Maybe he will eat too much. His sleeping will disturb his bhakti. Also, he might sleep too much. Or when he feels tired, he will not be able to continue. Mating, he might be disturbed by sex urge, or just association with the wife. And defending, he might be over endeavoring to get everything right and settled in the house, make sure he's defending himself against the onslaught of material nature. He might be too much engrossed in these things, and that will also slacken his devotional service. But a pure devotee is never affected by these things. So that's why hearing from them is really what makes us strong. I read this verse recently, very nice verse from the CC. Yeah. So this is Madhya. Let me see, one moment. And then 4186. Okay. So 4186. Madhya. So you see here it said, this is the natural result of intense love of Godhead. The devotee does not consider personal inconveniences or impediments. In all circumstances, he wants to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the neophyte stage, one will be considering these things. Inconvenience in service, right? No, I don't like living with other devotees. So many inconveniences are there. Or I don't like to do this type of service, giving me pain mentally or physically. But that is a neophyte platform, or the impediments. One will become in the neophyte stage despondent or discouraged when there's too many impediments. But an advanced devotee will not care for that. He will continue despite anything. So here it is said, in all circumstances, he wants to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the distinction between a pure devotee and a neophyte. Is that this is what uh, puts him apart. Um, okay, can you read this purport?
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhu. It is natural for those who have developed intense love for Krishna not to care for personal inconvenience and impediments. Such devotees are simply determined to execute the order of the Supreme Person of Godhead or his representative, the spiritual master. In all circumstances, even amidst the greatest dangers, they undeviatingly carry on with the greatest determination. This definitely proves the intense love of the servitor. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.8, Tatte nukampam su samikshamanaha, those who seriously desire to get free from the clutches of material existence, who have developed intense love for Krishna, are worthy candidates for going back home, back to Godhead. An intense lover of Krishna does not care for any number of material discomforts, scarcity, impediments, or unhappiness. It is said that when one sees apparent unhappiness or distress in a perfect Vaishnava, it is not at all unhappiness for him, rather it is transcendental bliss. In the Sikshastaka, 8th verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also instructed, Aslisyava padaratam pinastumam. The intense lover of Krishna is never deviated from his service despite all difficulties and impediments brought before him.
Hmm. So Srila Prabhupada often likes to quote Lord Jesus Christ about this. To speak of Lord Jesus Christ, right? To say that how he was, despite all difficulties, still praying for the mercy of those who were actually trying to kill him. So God is one, and lovers of God, are not always sent as acharyas in our sampradayas. Sometimes they're sent in other to start other religions or so. So from Lord Jesus Christ behavior, there's no doubt that he was situated on the topmost platform, because that's not possible to be praying for someone who's killing you. How who does that except a pure devotee? So this conception that there's many religions, there's many gods, and of course religious path, yes, but not that there's many gods. It's all one. Huh? And these Mahabhagavat who come, they come to show the path according to time, place, and circumstance. And what we've been reading in those verses about devotees, constantly engaged in hearing and chanting. Well, what was Lord Jesus Christ always doing? He was only preaching. There was no other, of course, we only have a little bit of his pastimes, and like in the Testament and so on. But it's not that he was doing something else. He was only doing this, only talking about God, trying to convince people that there's a God and that he exists and that he's merciful and so on. Of course, we all know he could not speak much at that time. Think about it, 2,000 years back, some villages, some fishermen and sheep herder. How much can you say, right? So, but still, we see that the symptoms of a pure devotee were there in him. And of course, in our Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have so many examples of such devotees. So by hearing from them, hearing from Prabhupada, always reading, attending lectures like that from more senior devotees, then we become fixed up. Then we'll be fixed up because we'll be convinced. I just noticed that the wall behind me is like inclined. The camera is not straight; it's leaning a bit. So okay, any further questions or comments on this point? Anybody else raise their hand?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, is it okay if I ask a question, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. This is Aditya, our Aditya, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Nitya Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Mm.
Uh, so actually, Prabhu, I was feeling very disheartened recently. So what happened was that I, for a long time, I had from last year I started joining groups. I started making a network, and
Mm.
through joining many groups, I got around 6,000 contacts. Like I joined many of these groups and things, and so now what I want to do was that I want to do the ISK and Web Gardener Save. I wanted to share with the 6,000 of them. And
Wow.
recently what happened, so somebody spammed me a message. So I was wondering how they're spamming me the message. I found a third party software using which we could share the messages to as many people as possible, and I switched my WhatsApp account to WhatsApp Business. So I use my WhatsApp Business account and I use this software. It's a third party software, and I was able to share it with two groups, so that consisted of around 2,000 people. So, but what happened was that then WhatsApp has banned my account because many of them reported, and I mean, and I'm not able to access the other 4,000 left, and I feel horrible that I feel like I failed at the service. I feel completely, what do
No,
you say,
no.
rejected.
Never, we can never fail in service. That's a wrong conception. Because in spiritual life, everything is absolute. There's no questions of failing. You see, Jatayu, he failed, right? At protecting Sita, but Lord Ram said, "Your service is perfect," and he went back to Godhead. So failing is a material concept. When we enter a spiritual realm, everything is one. There's no such thing as good and bad anymore. Everything is transcendental. The gopis, they went to Krishna during the daytime or during the nighttime. Both are considered perfect. So with the sanction, or of the parents, or without the sanction of the parent, is still perfect. So, and they went to Krishna out of lust. Some of the devotees, they go to Krishna out of reveration. It's all perfect. So don't think that is because Krishna is the one who controls the result. You think
Yes,
that
Prabhu.
Krishna cannot stop them from blocking your account? He can. So why did he not? He did not do so. That's his arrangement. So if it's Krishna's arrangement, it's a perfect arrangement. You
Understood,
see.
Prabhu.
So you're just learn from this. Learn from this that wholesale forwarding messages might not be the best way because of this. They will report your account, and if you get like some 10 people reporting you, 20 people, then WhatsApp will investigate, and then they will see what you did, and yeah, they'll block. So learn from this.
Yes, Prabhu.
When I started to give online classes in China in the beginning, at that time we did not have any children. Um, I was giving lectures, many times a week, and it was going so well. And uh, at one point, some of our lectures in China were giving like 500, hits, 600 in China. Can you imagine? You
Yes, Prabhu.
multiply that by 100 in India. And so I was like so much enthused, and I was using an online platform for that, and we had given 100 plus classes that were all recorded and stored online, and people kept getting views and all and all. And one day I come, and on the platform they say, "Oh, you're speaking about religions, and so we have deleted your account and all." I tried contacting them. I said, "Can I get the audios back?" I had not downloaded those audios. I should have done that. And they say, "No, we cannot. We've deleted everything," and so on. So how did I feel, you think? So I was not feeling good, but how can I know? You need to learn. I learned from that. Now I know that if in China, you got to store everything, and you got to be careful, because even so-called private companies, they're also under the government,
Yes, Prabhu.
Chinese government. So these things happen, but you saw that the advanced devotee, any reverse or any impediment will not hamper his devotional. Uh, you know, so it doesn't matter. You continue this web gardening. You're very good at it. You got a good. You
Thank you,
get
Prabhu.
a good mind for that. You find good ideas. You continue to do it. Never mind. Leave the result in Krishna's hands. That's all.
Yes, Prabhu.
Anyway, we're not after getting 2,000 followers. I don't want 2,000 followers because there's something wrong. When too many people come, that means something's fishy. We want just a few sincere followers. We're here to do little service, not big things.
Understood,
So,
Prabhu.
of course, to have a great enthusiasm to do great things for Krishna, that's definitely not material. That's nice. But the result, let him handle. He knows best. The
Understood,
Lord.
Prabhu.
So please continue doing that. Actually, you're the one who's been doing it the most regularly. And, I feel very much encouraged to see your service in that. In
Thank you
that,
for
that
this
way.
opportunity, Prabhu.
Yes, please don't become discouraged.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Pranam. Isala Prabhupada.
And actually, there's this verse, right, that just now Prabhupada quoted in that purport. It's the verse that Prabhupada quotes the most when it comes to devotee um, tolerating reverses. Tatte nukampam susamikshaman. It's 10:14:8. You can go read it. Aditya Prabhu, can you read this verse? I will share here.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Is it sent on the chat, Prabhu?
No, here it is. I'm sharing now.
All right. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your costless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim.
Yeah, this verse is so often quoted by Prabhupada. So this is it. This is the secret. The secret is that we continue to um, offer our respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body. So
Yes,
mind, word, and body, basically, always trying to continue doing service to the Lord, and we
yes,
tolerate. We just tolerate. We wait. We wait until when is the Lord going to be merciful? Of course, He's already merciful to us, but when is He going to bestow His complete mercy? And we have to patiently suffer all the reactions of our misdeeds,
yes,
because
Prabhu.
it's not that as soon as one becomes a devotee, there's no more suffering. Suffering will still be there. So that has to be tolerated.
Yes,
And if we're
Prabhu.
capable of doing that, then it's becoming our rightful claim. We're sure of going back to the Lord. So,
Yes,
okay. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Now there's a message in the text in the chat box. So from Abhilash Tyagi. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I didn't get a firm belief in this path of devotional practices. Actually, I had some bad experience with some Madhva Sampradaya devotees who were actually infiltrated with many Mayavadi's thoughts. My faith just shakes very often. Also, I lack taste for chanting holy name. I only chant 8 malas a day. How to increase it? Please guide me. So, as we have shown many verses today concerning proper devotee association, what will be the effect? We have to test that. In those purports, it said that when one hears from the proper person, first of all, he will become enlivened. He will feel enthusiasm. He will feel his faith increase, and his material, the kleshas will diminish. He will, while we're hearing the hunger, the thirst, the lamentation, illusion, all these things will go down. And plus, there is this important verse from the 11th canto, and that shows a Prabhupada often quote for the proof of the bona fide process, 11.242. So these things are supposed to happen. Of course, now you say you're not feeling these things, but it will happen if you keep hearing from bona fide devotees. You see, what are these things? So here it is. Devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. These three occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the same way that pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger come simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person engaged in eating. So devotion, if we actually hear from the proper person, our devotion will increase. Our desire to serve and do devotional service will increase. Direct experience of the Supreme Lord, we will start to realize God more and more. His energies around us, his being situated in the heart like that, it will not just be theory anymore. We will realize the presence of the Lord, that He's the light of the sun and the moon. He's the sound and ether, things like that. We'll start to realize the presence of God. And detachment from other things. We will lose taste for sense gratification. Okay, so these three occur simultaneously for one of us. So just like when you're eating, before eating, you feel weak. You feel just like if you fast, you feel weak, you feel hunger, and you have no pleasure. But when you start eating, what do you get? You get relief from hunger, you get nourishment, you get strength, and you get pleasure simultaneously. So these things should be happening. But the thing is that now you're trying to light a fire. You're trying to light the fire of bhakti, right? And you're struggling at the moment. Your faith is shaking, and you don't have much space. So when we want to spark a fire, actually sparking a fire is very easy. If you get some nice dry starter and some dry wood, one little spark and it will come. So then why is it hard? Because the wood is wet. When the wood is wet, the fire needs to be strong and big so that the wood first of all dries up, and then that wood will catch fire. So what is this wet? What is this water? This water is asatsanga, associating with unwanted people. So if we're associated with non-devotees, then it will be very, very tough for us to make spiritual advancement. That is, you cannot make progress and at the same time keep associating with non-devotees. So, so let's. So this association with non-devotees is recommended by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's very serious about that. So here it is. Asat Sanga Tyag e Vaishnava Achara, Stri Sangi eka sadhu, Krishna Bhakta Ara. So who are these Asat Sangha, you see? So Asat Sangatya, rejection of the association of non-devotees. And who are they? A Vaishnava should always avoid the association of ordinary people. Common people are very much materially attached, especially to women. Vaishnavas should also avoid the company of those who are not devotees of Lord Krishna. So for students like yourself maybe, or those who are working, this is tough to follow because every day you have friends at school, you have teachers, you have co-workers and so on. But the point is that we should deal with them only as much as necessary and not go to them and chit chat and things like that. No, because we are more, Prabhupada says, more or less we're declaring war to this material world, to Maya, So in the wartime, one should not be sentimental and try to be kind to the enemy. Even though people we might know might appear to be nice and all, if they're materially attached, well, which is everybody, everyone is materially attached. Because they're materially attached and our goal is to advance spiritually, we cannot continue our relationship with them, or at least it should be very much on the external only. There is a story that I think I told before about Prabhupada said about the monkey. So, how to deal with these people. So there was one monkey in a tree. He wanted to cross the river. And then the alligator came, crocodile came. It's okay, you jump on my back, I'll help you cross. So the monkey is like, all right. So he jumps on the back like that. And the alligator say, now that you're on my back, I'm going to eat you. I'm going to eat your heart. But the monkey say, you cannot eat my heart. And the crocodile, why is that? Because my heart is in the tree that, I left it there. So if you want to eat it, I have to go back and get it. So crocodile, okay, then he brought him back again and monkey jumped and went away, of course. So the point here is that you can deal with such people, but don't give them your heart. Meaning, don't put your sentiment into the relationship. Don't put yourself into the, because we are different. We're not the same. There are people who wish to enjoy this material world and remain here, even though they cannot. They will have to die. and change their position. But we are very different. Devotees and non-devotees are like black and white. They're like north and south. They're like heat and cold. We're completely opposite. So we cannot continue a relationship with them. So Abhilash Prabhu, you're saying yes, Prabhuji, I'm a college student. So that's it. So because in college you got your friends and all these girls are there, right? As soon as you go to college, what do you see? You see so many girls who are trying to attract the attention of boys. This is their only business. In the morning, they stand in front of a mirror, and how can I get boys to look at me? Oh, they're the trap for us. The men. Why is it that we stay in the material world? It's because of this sex life. This is what is getting us entangled. Just because of this sex life, we have to undergo so much trouble. Just like this marriage life, grihastha ashram, marriage, raising children, children get sick, they cry day and night. You need to earn money, you need to, buy medicine. You feel anxious for them to get cured. They break your ears with so many questions and hardly any peaceful time. Why is it that we're tangled in this? Why is it that our position has changed? We were not married before. We didn't have wife. We didn't have children. We were free, practically speaking. And then now, boom, wife is there, children is there, so many obligations are there. What happened? It's because sex. We were, the sex life is there. So that's why this brahmacharya ashram is very much encouraged, because it facilitates everything. If one can remain, of course. Um, you know. So anyway, but in your situation now that you're in the college, then you have to become antisocial. Basically, you should become a reject of your friend circle. When I became a devotee, all my friends, they left one by one. Stop calling me, um, starting to find me weird, and so on, so on, so on. And I was happy. Some they hang out longer than others. They tried really hard to continue enjoying with me, but I lost them. So what to do? I don't regret it. I'm happy because we're not the same anymore. I remember, when my faith in Krishna consciousness, there's something that had happened to me, very intense experience in the beginning, very beginning, and that whole night, I remember I didn't sleep, and everything, there was some intense experience, and the next morning, I had a friend who was living with me. We were renting an apartment together. So when I told my friend this, I said, you know what happened to me last night? This happened and that, and here's the Bhagavad Gita and this and that. So the friend just like, oh, okay, all right. So I'll see you later. So what friend is this? A friend would see that, well, my friend now has got this amazing experience. Let me see what he's talking about. That is a friend, and I'll try to learn with you. Yeah, a real friend would have become a devotee with me that day. But that person, he was just okay, yeah. So what? So we're not the same. There's two types of people. There's devotees and non-devotees. You know. So you have to choose. Of course, there are some that are innocent that can be turned into devotees, but most people they don't want. They don't want to be. They don't want to give up sense gratification. They're hooked, right? Oh, Twitter, Netflix, Pizza Hut, McDonald's. Traveling, this, that. I mean, so many things are there nowadays. Nowadays, to become a devotee, I find that it's even harder than before, because I mean, those phones that we have, right? They've got everything now. When I joined the movement, I mean, those phones were not that good, and now these phones are like you got everything in your pocket, all sense gratification. You want to order food, food is there in 20 minutes. You want to watch a movie, YouTube, Netflix. You want sex, they have all these apps for dating apps, and so very tough. So you should become more and more disinterested in associating with these people. And also, okay, first let's go to the next verse. There's another verse after that is important. Um, yeah. So it's the next verse. I think it's 88, 89 together. Is it? 88 to 90. Yeah. By association with worldly people, one becomes devoid of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, fortune, and all opportunity. You see how many things we lose if we start to associate with people who are interested only in eating, sleeping, and be merry. We lose all these things. We're not going to be truthful anymore. We're not going to be clean anymore. We lose our mercy, our gravity. Gravity, right? Gravity means to be very serious about life, to discuss deep subject matter. You go in a normal friend circle nowadays, and what's the goal of life? Does God exist? Hey, man, what are you talking about? Relax. Why are you so deep? Let's go out and let's go play soccer. No gravity. People are like children, even when they're 50 and 60-year old. They don't want to be discussing about life. One should not at any time associate with a coarse fool who is bereft of the knowledge of self-realization and who is no more than a toy animal in the hands of a woman. The illusion and bondage that accrue to a man from attachment to any other object are not as complete as that resulting from association with a woman or with men too attached to women. These two things. When we associate with women, we lose our mind, isn't it? We see their form, the way they speak, the sound of their voice, the hair in the wind, and finish. We're done. Women are very dangerous because not that they're bad, not that we hate them. It's not their fault. They're being tools in the hand of material nature. But the sex life is what is keeping us here. So women and men too attached to women, always talking about women, always looking at women. These are the highest form of material, the bad association. So that's one thing. The other thing also is to not at all eat anything else except Krishna Prasadam. If we eat food that is, from the cafe or, our cafeteria at school and all, then we're also not going to be making progress. Here it is said, when one eats food offered by a materialistic man, one's mind becomes contaminated. And when the mind is contaminated, one is unable to think of Krishna properly. See? So we have to be very strict. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur suggests that people who are materialistically inclined and sahajiyas, or so-called Vaishnavas, who take everything very casually, are both Vishay materialists. Eating food offered by them causes contamination. Actually, I've experienced this recently. I will explain to you. And as a result of such contamination, even a serious devotee becomes like a materialistic man. See that? Here, you see, even so-called Vaishnavas. So it's not that we can accept prasadam by any devotee. So sometimes devotee, they ask, can we eat in ISKCON temple, ISKCON restaurants? I have my reservations, you see that? And it happened to me recently because, actually, if I can confess, recently I went to the Fiji, with my family and all, and I took a hit. My spiritual life took a hit. And I know why. So first things first, over endeavoring for mundane achievement. I tried too hard maybe to arrange for some activities for my family, and that was a bit over endeavor. And second, we ate twice or three times. We ate twice in the ISKCON restaurant and once in the ISKCON temple while we were there. And yeah, I could feel it was not the same as eating prasadam here. So what the previous verse, Sami Prabhu, was the one following. It's Madhya 22, 88, and 90. Okay. Yeah, so Madhya 22, 88 to 90 together. Yeah. So, okay, so you see, so eating prasadam is so important. If we eat food that is outside, our mind is always going to be restless, and we're not going to be developing this eagerness to advance spiritually. That's why living with the devotees is very important, because there's always prasadam available. And if this is not possible, then we should cook for ourselves. That is a very important aspect of a devotee's life. Every devotee that lives far away from a temple has cook for himself. You cannot make compromise on that, even though you might say, it's not, I mean to say, practical. I live in a, you have to make some arrangement, I mean, it's not, sometimes even here I cook for myself because I try to follow a diet. So, I mean, in one pot, I can do everything. One pot, I don't even need two pots. I put the ghee, or I can put oil, then I just put the spices directly. All the spices I put. Then I put the rice and the mung dal. I fry it a little bit with the spice. I put the chopped vegetables. I add the water. I let it boil and finish. Khichdi. You add the salt. So in one pot only, if you have one induction cooker in one pot, you can cook yourself meals every day. You can do soup. You can do khichdi. You can do sabjis in it or whatever. So a devotee needs to learn how to cook anyway, because he needs to offer food to the Lord. This is one of the way that we reciprocate with the Lord, is to cook for him. So without learning how to cook. So, okay, I'll read your messages that you have. You say, same with me, Prabhuji. Since I started on this path, almost all of my friends left me, saying I am becoming more conservative and less entertaining. One also said I look weird because I applied tilak. Yeah, good. Let them go away. This tilak is a great tool, powerful tool. People who don't like, they won't approach. I have had very similar experience as well, Prabhu. They say that it's no more fun and things they don't want to listen. Recently, I learned that some of my friends have become drug addicts, and one particular friend of mine called Ankit, it seems he was caught with Viagra. I feel very guilty seeing all of this. I feel like if they commit suicide or do something sinful, I'm also responsible because I didn't stop them. No, don't put too much pressure on your shoulders. You're not. They have their own life. They have their own sins. They're responsible for their activities. It's not that you have to save all of them. Don't think like that. I made this mistake in the beginning of my Krishna consciousness, thinking I could save my family. That was a big hit a brick wall. I can tell you that. And you take care of yourself. Krishna never said that you go and save the whole world. He said, first of all, you practice yourself. That's the first step. And what is that? Giving up company of non-devotees, and then doing the regulation, reading, chanting, like that. Okay. So first you do that for yourself. When you become a little steady, okay, then you can think of helping a little bit your neighbor, your friends, like that. Little preaching in your area.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes. Right. Okay. Anything else? Anyone else would like to add something? Or ask some further question?
Prabhu, yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu, the Pranjay Prabhupada. Is it okay if I ask one more question, Prabhu?
Yes, sure.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, my question was that now recently there has been the Israel-Palestine conflict, the Ukraine-Russia conflict, a lot of conflicts happening. And it is happening in such a way that the World War III is also going to happen. In fact, Srila Prabhupada had predicted 50 years back that in 50 years everything will be finished in the year 1973. And when I had read that, I felt, oh no, there's never going to be World War III. There is so much of business and money to be lost. There is no way there is going to be World War III. It's just a maybe Srila Prabhupada was making a not so serious statement, something like that. But then now when I see things, it looks like any day if there could be a nuclear war, it could completely devastate the entire planet. So in I mean in this scenario, like what do you say? Like there's so much wrong being done in this world, and as devotees, it puts us in a position where we feel very sad seeing these things, right, Prabhu? So what can we do for the betterment of the people who won't even take up to Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, first of all, we should save ourselves.
Yes,
First of all, we should be convinced ourselves. The problem is that these things, these wars and all, they are very small events when we calculate universal affairs. When we speak of eternity, when we speak of the soul and of the universal age, 3.311 trillion years, what is this world war? What is these little events of Ukraine, Russia? This is
yes,
flickering only. It comes and goes. It's not very important. What's important, Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita, he says that we are not this body, we are eternal, and we have to deal with this matter, that if we're eternal, what are we doing here? And to think that when there's no war, things are good, that's also illusion. Things are always bad. In the
Yes.
jail, you can never expect things to be good. So actually, if these war can wake us up and make us realize how bad the material world is, then we should welcome them. They will wake us up. If we feel too comfortable in our position, that means we're in Maya.
Yes.
Prabhupada says, if you feel comfortable, you're in Maya. Just see. This is it. We should never feel comfortable. An advanced devotee is always convinced of his embarrassing position in the material world. He always understands that I'm conditioned. Why am I put into such a situation? So we should not bother ourselves too much with this war, that war. We
Yes.
should. These things will come and go. The material world always works like this. It's always the same thing. In fact, in the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says that each creation looks very similar to the past one. The same major events occur. So it's just a movie playing again and again and again, and we're seeing that, and we're very much concerned with the movie, when the thing we should be concerned of is how to get out of it altogether.
Yes, Prabhu.
So if you save yourself, that is the best service you can do to humanity, because we are not the savior. This is something that the more I so-called preach and all, the more I start to realize we're not the preachers, we're not the saviors. Prabhupada is. He's the one who's saving us. We are the ones who are being saved.
Yes,
You
Prabhu.
see, we're the one in trouble here,
Yes, Prabhu.
and Prabhupada is trying to get us out of here. So if we make it, naturally the Lord will be very merciful, right? 21 generations and so many devotees, so many people will be liberated because you're going back.
Yes, Prabhu.
So you take care of yourself. Don't worry about others for now.
Yes, Prabhu.
This is not on our level to worry about.
Yes.
So world war, no world war, that this is all less important things. One thing though, Prabhupada did say after the war, preaching will be better. So it's like a wake-up call for the planet, right? People
Yes,
will
Prabhu.
see that. Why is there so much suffering? So people will be more inquisitive. So it's actually a blessing. Nothing in this world is bad, because everything is Krishna's arrangement, God's arrangement. So this suffering is also good, because it takes a lot to wake us up. We are very much thinking we're this body. I mean, how hard it is to realize we're not the body. It's so difficult, isn't it?
Yes,
And you
Prabhu.
think you go outside and you see these people who are aunties, niece, nephews, brothers, and there's so much convinced, my brother, let's go out there. You think these people are gonna understand they're not the body. So there has to be something that's gonna shake their dream, shake their bubble,
Yes.
and then they'll see, then they'll be home. So these wars and all, it's just another aspect of Krishna's mercy, is to wake us up. Now we might think, oh, this very severe, it's very harsh punishment. Well, yes, he has to. There's no other choice. If we don't listen, he has to keep punishing. He's the Supreme Father, He's going to keep punishing as long as we don't.
I didn't get that. Would you try again?
Siri. So, and it's just, because he's a responsible Father. He wants us to get out of this mess. We're in a mess. First of all, we know we have to start realizing we're in a mess. Very different. I mean, we can die any moment. This
Yes.
this whole life can be finished. So these things we have to realize. So don't worry yourself too much about wars and all this, Third World War. You just keep on doing what you're doing, associated with devotees and all, and Krishna will protect you anyway.
Yes, Prabhu.
He,
Yes,
he's
Prabhu.
the one who will dictate where the bomb will explode and all, right? So just depend on him.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank
Okay,
you so
Abhilash, Hare Krishna. Abhilash Tyag, you had some question? You raised your hand.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I had a doubt, as I also told in the chat box, that I personally had some experiences with some devotees who basically claim themselves to be a part of Madhva Sampradaya. And so when I basically talked about their Siddhanta, or when I came to know what are the practices they follow, etc., so more or less their ideas were very much influenced by the Mayavad, and some people were, means they were also influenced with this idea that merging into the effulgence with the Krishna uh, also a
Yes.
part of Bhakti only. So I was very much disturbed with this idea.
So
Fortunately,
they're not Vaishnavas. They're actually impersonalists, because impersonalists also sometimes they worship Krishna.
yes,
Can you mute your microphone?
yeah, because I fortunately I read some small books of Srila Prabhupada, and there he clearly mentions this. So I was not very much motivated with their idea, but I had this in my mind that as we know that there are four bona fide sampradayas for this Kali Yuga age. So can there be infiltration of Mayavad into these sampradayas also?
Yes, of course. Can you mute your microphone because your microphone has got some issues? Yeah. So yes, Prabhu. You see, four bona fide sampradayas. That's all right. Doesn't mean that whoever we meet is bona fide, right? You have to meet a bona fide representative, and we should not be worried too much about other disciplic succession, because God appeared in our disciplic succession. So why would we want to be somewhere else? I mean, we know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an incarnation of Krishna, so let's just follow this, and we see that Srila Prabhupada, who is the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya in this disciplic succession, he's the one who's made the work. He's the one who went to the West and preached Krishna consciousness, and now we have white people wearing dhoti, kurta, chanting Hare Krishna, following the four regulative principles. Who has done that? Has anybody else in the other three sampradayas done that? No. So the current link is there. Why be sectarian? Oh, I'm not saying you, but sometimes people are like that. Oh, Sri Sampradaya is also bona fide. Why are you being picky like that? Why, especially because you're from South India? Maybe you praise more Sri Sampradaya. I'm not speaking of you. I'm saying these people. So let's just accept. Here's the result. Here's the knowledge. The books are there. Prabhupada gave us the books. The whole system is there. It's perfect. Okay, let's go ahead with this. That's all. So yes, of course, Mayavad, Sahajya, Karma, Jnana, all these things are infiltrated in all the four sampradayas. What to speak of others? In our own sampradaya, it's there, big time now also. So this is it, because Kali did that, right? He knew how to infiltrate, so he's contaminated everything. I think I've quoted that in that big video that I've did recently. I think it's the ending part. There's a quote there by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. How the agent of Kali have infiltrated, because you see, now we spoke about these verses, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Separate yourself from the non-Vaishnava." Especially after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, devotees started to be on their own. The microphone is having issues. So listen to this, this is an important point. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared, the Vaishnavas starting to be especially disassociating themselves from non-Vaishnava. Before that, it appeared that it was not so strict, because Varnashram system was there, more or less, and everybody in the Vedic culture is more or less a devotee of Krishna. So there's no kind of black and white like now. But now it has become really black and white, devotee, non-devotees, and disassociate yourself. So that quote from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that Kali saw that, and he saw that, okay, now Vaishnavas are on their own. How can I attack them? So he sent his representative, his agent, to infiltrate all these Vaishnava Sangha and introduce Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, impersonalism. Yeah, that's it. Dimitri Prabhu found it. So it's there in the box. It's Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Oh, I thought it was Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Yeah. So after the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, those faithful to him kept apart from non-devotees to avoid contamination. Seeing this, the personality of Kali sent his representatives in disguise to pollute the Vaishnava Sampradaya. See? Posing as Vaishnavas, they spread their wicked doctrines and appeared so intelligent and devoted that only pure devotees could detect their real identity. Most devotees, not only the most neophyte, were enchanted by their tricks. That means that all Kanishta Adhikaris were enchanted. In this way, Kali's agents expertly introduce karma, jnana, and anyabhilasa in the Vaishnava Sampradayas and cause Shuddha Bhakti to vanish from the world. This is happening now, even before our eyes. The mainstream movement has been infiltrated by all these Kali Chelas, and they are introducing karma, jnana, anyabhilas like that. And slowly, this Shuddha Bhakti, the standard of pure devotional service, is being eradicated. And that's why we have to push reading Prabhupada books. Because through Prabhupada books, we can start to, we can distinguish what is pure devotion and what is mixed devotion. A neophyte devotee has got great difficulty to understand these things. He cannot really see. Only when one actually raises himself above karma and jnana does he start to understand the contamination in bhakti. So it's there. Its contamination is everywhere. So now you know, don't hear from such people again. You've got Prabhupada, you read his books, you associate it with us, then you'll be protected. You'll be in good hands. Okay. All right. I think we're going to wrap up. If there's any last quick question or comment, maybe we can take one more. Otherwise, we'll be closing up. So, okay. So to a little recap of today's class, devotee association is the cause of spiritual advancement. How to associate with them. That means hearing from advanced devotee and revealing our mind. Okay. We have to speak out to them, our troubles, our doubts. Our doubts have to be cleared. That's very important. When we have doubts, we have to address those doubts. Okay. Association with devotees will increase our taste for hearing and chanting. That's the test. Okay. We'll develop more devotion. We'll develop more realization of the Lord, and we'll lose taste for everything else. Sense gratification will diminish. Okay, that's very important. We have to be regulated in our devotional life. Wake up at the same time every day. Try to have our fixed schedule of devotional activities throughout the day, especially morning and evening. As soon as we wake up, only Krishna, and before rest, only Krishna. Like that. Yeah, and give up the association of non-devotees, especially women and men attached to women. We develop very bad qualities. We lose many great assets, spiritual assets, good qualities when we associate with such people. Not eating and sharing meals with them and so on. Okay. It's not just that. Also, we don't recognize who's a devotee by external appearances. All right. We have to double check Sadhu Shastra Guru. So what Prabhupada speaks of what a Vaishnava is, it's important to learn also. We've not really discussed that today, but we've spoken that there are some devotees who are actually not devotees, even though they appear as devotees. We have to be careful for that. So that's the wrap up. So thank you so much. I think it's I'm surprised to see how many devotees have joined today and many new names that I'm seeing. I'm very encouraged. That means, it's working. So let's continue to do this. Let's try to grow the spiritual family together. If we cannot associate physically, at least this is nice. We should attend and, give more lectures like that, attend more lectures like this, and the Japa session. And I guess most of you must be in that Telegram group, right? It's a very active group. We'll have to try to slow things down because I think it's like 150 messages per day now. Okay, so Aditya Prabhu, no, you have not done any offense. As always, you're very humble. Thank you so much for coming and revealing your mind. So, okay, I think this is good. So thank you so much. We'll try to do, one session a week. of course, we do these sessions mainly for Australian Yatra, but if it's a good timing for you too, then you're more welcome, most welcome. I was not expecting, because I know it's quite early for India, but seems like it's working out for you too. Thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo Anantakoti Vaishnava ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai, jai.
Jai,
Thank you.
jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for association.
Thank you, Prabhu. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.